نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. We were still discussing a random virtue of the Sahaba Ikram. Remember the beginning of the chapter, Babu Jami'il Manaqibi, the chapter with regards to comprehensive virtue. So there's no particular order what is being discussed here. It is not confined to any particular group or any particular tribe or any particular segment of the community, but just random virtue of the different Sahaba Ikram. First one, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أبي موسى, narrating the authority of Abu Musa, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم قال له يا أبا موسى أو أبا موسى لقد أعطيت مزمارا من مزامير آل داود. You have been given a flute from the flutes of Dawud alayhi salam. Muttafaqun alayhi is a muttafaq alayhi riwayat. Okay, tell me, what do people understand from this riwayat? Read the Asha, read your Asha today, or whatever Asha you got there, you got Asha there, you got Asha there, you got Asha. You read the Asha and tell me. I'm giving you 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If the online people want to answer, they can answer also. Tell me, what do you understand from that riwayat? If somebody tell you, hey, see here, Nabi Sallallahu is saying that Dawud is given a flute from the, or rather Abu Musa is bringing a flute. This shows music is permissible because Abu Musa al-Ashari, well, he's got like a flute of Dawud alayhi salam. So how can you people say, you Maulana, to say music is haram, music is haram? See uh, uh, Abu Musa Ash'ari, he had a flute of Dawud alayhi salam, etc. So how can you say music is haram? Music can't be haram, etc. Right? Well, people do that actually. I actually seen some people try to prove the permissibility of music, using this hadith here. Right? So read it. You can. You got Asha there, no Asha? Okay, you can borrow his Asha. Is any footnote saying your kitab? Read it and tell me. You see, one is, I told you before, look at me 1 second. One is that the Ustad give you some information, you memorize the information, mashallah, it's good. You memorize it, you can give it back. It's good, okay. But one is, can you check yourself something what's happening? Something that you never study in madrasa, you're picking up a different kitab there, you're checking, you want to understand it. That is now something great. That is something great where you can pick up a kitab and you can read it and you can understand. So what you've been doing now, you have only been memorizing what your teacher is giving you. Well, you've only been memorizing what your teacher has been giving you. Which, okay, I'm not saying is wrong. I'm not saying there's something wrong with it. It's okay, alhamdulillah. But tomorrow when somebody asks you something which is not in your darsi kitabs, this is your call, your darsi kitabs, the kitabs you study in madrasa. Somebody asks you something which is not in your darsi kitab, and you have to look in the mutawwalat, you have to look in the lengthy kitabs, like they see there's so many commentaries on Mishkaat Shareef, there's so many commentaries on Abu Dawud Shareef, all that type of thing. Now, because you're only accustomed to giving back to the Ustad what the Ustad taught you, you're not able to pick up something yourself. So I'm giving you 5 minutes. You can borrow me your hasha, and you must tell me what you understand from that day. If any of the online people understood my question, they can give me the answer, inshallah. They can give me the answer. But I read this dua for those who just joined. عن أبي موسى أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال له يا أبا موسى لقد أعطيت مزمارا من مزامير آل داود. That, oh, Abu Musa, Nabi Muhammad said, you have been given a flute from the flutes of Dawud alayhi salam. Does this mean we can just put a proper page here? They're saying we're not on the right page. Does this mean it's permissible to play with the flute? right. Loud. What you say, Imam Yusuf? Ismail? Right, mashallah, you people got it right. What it means that like how Dawood alayhi salam could produce beautiful, sweet voice, etc. Like that, as a Musa al-Ash'ari also could recite in a very beautiful, melodious voice. Doesn't mean he was physically given a flute, you understand what I'm saying? Right? So this is mean Ali Dawood. Ali is just extra here. Doesn't necessarily mean the family of Dawood alayhi salam. So Ali Zaid. In Arabic call is Muqaham. So remember, as Dawood alayhi salam was given such a sweet voice, it is mentioned then when Dawood alayhi salam used to recite, right? MashaAllah, he had a similar melodious voice to Musa, right? That's correct, MashaAllah. Jazakallah for that online. So even the birds used to stop to listen to the recitation of Dawood alayhi salam. Okay, read next riwayat. Jama'al. قال أحد أمومتي متفق عليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نريدنا أثارتي أبز أنس رضي الله تعالى عنه said جمع القرآن على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أربعة. What does it mean? جمع القرآن على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أربعة. What does it mean? Who understands what it means? Compiled? What you understood from that? We can say memorized in its entirety. Memorized in its entirety. Yeah, so جمع القرآن على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أربعة. There's four people who memorized the Quran in its entirety in the time of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. أبي بن كعب أبي بن كعب ومعاذ بن جبل معاذ بن جبل وزيد بن ثابت زيد بن ثابت وأبو زيد and أبو زيد. وقيل لأنس, it was said to Anas, من أبو زيد, who is Abu Zaid? قال أحد أمومتي, one of my أمومتي, paternal uncles, متفق عليه. Now if you look at this riwayat here, this riwayat is suggesting that there was only four people that were complete huffaz of the Quran in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's what it outwardly here. جمع القرآن على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أربعة أبي بن كعب ومعاذ بن جبل وزيد بن ثابت. So we know for a fact that there were many other Sahaba Ikram that memorized the Quran. Remember, even if you look at the famous instance of Bi'r Ma'una, when those people came to request some mu'allimin to teach them, then Rasulullah sent over 70 huffaz, and they were all martyred, remember? That is why we say this kalam is not for hasr. It is not specific, or it's not I would say exclusive that there weren't other people. But what we can say is these were the outstanding four. What we can say? So like I told you, from other Sahih hadith we learn, there were many others who memorized the Quran. Like I told you in Janga Yamama, remember that battle when so many Sahaba Ikram became shaheed, that as Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu suggested to Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu that they must start compile the Quran, etc. It's mentioned also all the four Khulafa al-Rashideen. There were Hafiz also. So it is just, doesn't mean these were the only four, but it means there were four outstanding ones. There were the four outstanding ones. Umumati is a jam of ammatun, right? So from my, and am referred to your paternal uncle, right? Okay, read the next riwayat.
قال هجرنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نبتغي وجه الله تعالى فوقع أجرنا على الله ومنا من مضى لم يأكل من أجله شيئا منهم مصعب بن أمير قتل يوم أحد لم يوجد له ما يكفن فيه إلا نمرة فقلنا إذا غطينا رأسه خرجت رجلاه وإذا غطينا رجليه خرج رأسه فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم غطوا بها رأسه واجعلوا على رجليه منها أن إن عجله ثمرته فهو يهدمها.
Okay, what do you understand from this riwayat? Look at it, tell me. I give you 5 minutes. Online people also can tell us. What do you understand from this riwayat?
To seek the praise of وهو ليس كله من سمو وسمات سمو وحديث يعني سمو وسمات سمو وحديث تسكير لوازم كفل كل the kafal of Wajdi was short, so his face was covered, his feet were open, and his feet was covered, his face was open. The resources was so it should be covered. Should be covered.
More or less, yeah, you know exactly what you say, Lukman, what it means. Now, Yusuf, what you can read the Hasha, see what, tell me what you understand from it. I'm going to give an explanation just now, then you must tell me if you understood, if it's the same thing what I said. There is an answer here online, which also makes more sense. Yeah, actually, the online answer is correct here also. Look about anything now, Yusuf? What he's saying, see, we made a great, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we made a great deal of sacrifice, right? Sahaba Ikram. We left our hometown, Makkatul Mukarramah, and we went to live in a strange land, and we went to live in a foreign land, right? Right? And then the initial stages of Islam was very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. You know, there was a paucity of resources. But then with the futuhat, especially in the time of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, a lot of booty came in. So now Sahaba Ikram began benefiting from that, right? So what he's saying here, this Sahabi Al-Khabbab is saying that there's some of us who made great deal of sacrifice, right, for the sake of Islam. We left our hometown, etc., 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 and we came to Medina. And before we could benefit from the booty, before we could benefit from the futuhat, before we could benefit from the conquest, we passed away. Some passed away already. And from amongst them was like Mus'ab bin Umair. He passed away in such an impoverished stage that there wasn't even enough cloth to cover his entire body. If you covered his head, his feet would be exposed. If you covered his feet, his head would be exposed. So then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cover his head with the cloth and put iskhir on the feet. You understood what I'm saying? So what he's saying is that, so some of us, they passed away before they could reap the benefits of the great sacrifice. Obviously, the main reward is in the akhirat, isn't it? The main reward is in the akhirat. So some of us passed away before we could reap the benefit in the dunya, like Mus'ab bin Umair. But some of us continued and we lived. And then we got the benefit in the dunya once the futuhat came in, especially like the Badri Sahaba and all that stuff. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or rather Umar radiallahu ta'ala, made stipends for them. Now let me read it and you see. وعن خباب بن الأرت نردنا طارد خباب بن الأرت قال هاجرنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We made hijrat with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم نبتغي وجه الله تعالى, seeking, right, وجه الله تعالى, the help of Allah تعالى. فوقع أجرنا على الله. So definitely inshallah we got our reward, right? فوقع أجرنا على الله, we got our reward, right? So in addition to the reward that you will get in the akhirat, in the right, فَمِنَّا مَنْ مَضَى لَمْ يَأْكُلُ مِنْ أَجْرِهِ شَيْئًا. So from amongst us who passed, they went on to akhirat, لَمْ يَأْكُلُ مِنْ أَجْرِهِ شَيْئًا. He did not eat from his reward anything, right? And who was منهم مصعب بن عمير? From amongst them was Mus'ab ibn Umair. قُتِلَ يَوْمَ أُحَدٍ. He passed away on the day of Uhud. فَلَمْ يُوجَدْ لَهُ مَا يُكَفَّنُ بِهِ. It was not found for him what he can cover his entire body. إِلَّا نَمِرَةٌ, except a cloth. فَكُنَّا إِذَا غَطَّيْنَا رَأْسَهُ. When we used to cover his head, خَرَجَتْ رِجْلَاهُ. His feet would be exposed. وَإِذَا غَطَّيْنَا رِجْلَيْهِ. And when we covered his feet, خرج رأسه, his head would be exposed. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the said, غطوا بها رأسه, cover his head with the cloth, واجعلوا على رجليه من الإذخر, and put on his feet. Izkhir is a type of a plant, right? ومنا من أين أتله ثمرته. From amongst us those who his fruit ripened. In other words, in addition to the reward of the akhirat, he got some reward of dunya. فهو يهدبها, so he's plucking from it and he's benefiting from it. So I told you, أين أت comes from the skill of أفعل يفعل الإفعال, ripen, came to fruition. So we got some benefit of our sacrifice in this dunya as well. We got some benefit of our sacrifice. يهدبها, ضرب يضرب, هدب يهدب, means to harvest it, to pick it. Mus'ab ibn Umair was a Quraishi Abdari, senior Sahaba Ikram. He accepted Islam in the initial stages of Islam. And he also made hijrah to Habsha. And then again he made hijrah to Medina. In fact, he was from the early people to went to Medina. In fact, if I remember correctly, he even went before Nabi Sallallahu to Medina. And he already started teaching people Islam before Nabi Sallallahu came there. He established a Jummah Namaz before Nabi Sallallahu came. We know this famous story when he lived in Makkah, he had a very affluent life. And obviously he was excommunicated from his family after he accepted from his family, and they deprived him of all the family benefits. Hence he lived what you say, a life of poverty. In the jungle, in the battle of Uhud also, he was the one who rallied around Rasulullah and protect him valiantly. Izkhir is a type of grass which normally the blacksmiths use in their furnaces. And also normally you use it to bury the deceased. And also it's mentioned that it should also be strewn on the floor in the masjid. Okay, read the next riwayat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I told you we're discussing random virtue of the different Sahaba Ikram. On Jabirin, Jabir, قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I heard Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, اهتز العرش لموت سعد بن معاذ. وفي رواية اهتز عرش الرحمن لموت سعد بن معاذ متفق عليه. Narrated on the authority of Jabir, he said, I heard Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that اهتز العرش, the arsh shaked with happiness, لموت سعد بن معاذ, because of the death of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. In another riwayat, اهتز عرش الرحمن, the arsh of Rahman also shaked, لموت سعد ibn Mu'adh, because of the death of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. Right? اهتز عرش, اهتز يهتز الاهتزاز, to shake with ecstasy, to shake in happiness. So the arsh shaked with happiness. Why? Because now the Mubarak Ruh of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh will come up to the heavens. So from this you can understand the great status of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh. He was from amongst the leaders of the Ansar. Remember we discussed this, he was the first one to have discharged and fire an arrow in the path of Allah Ta'ala. And also from his distinguishing factors also, he was the one that Nabi Sallallahu allowed to make a decision with regards to the Banu Qurayza. In the 5th year of Hijri, he became Shaheed. And he was buried in Baqiya Gharqad. It's mentioned that over 70,000 angels attended his janazah. Can read the next riwayat.
ويتعجبون من دينها وقال يتعجبون من دينها معاذ مجلد خير منها
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن البراء قال أهديت لرسول الله حلة حرير. Narrated the authority of al-Bara ibn Azib, he said he was gifted to Rasulullah sallallahu حلة حرير, a set of silken clothes. فجعل أصحابه يمسونها. So then the companions of Rasul began touching it, began feeling it. ويتعجبون من لينها, and they were super impressed with its fine nature, its soft. فقال أتعجبون من لين هذه, are you impressed with the softness, the smoothness, the quality of this? If you are, then know لمناديل سعد بن معاذ في الجنة خير منها, that the cloth of Sa'd ibn Mu'adh in Jannat خير منها, is better than this, وألينه, and is softer. So they okay, it's quite evident that the great reward that waits or rather Sa'd received in Jannah. Right? Read the next one.
عن أم سعيد رضي الله عنها أنها قالت يا رسول الله أنس خادمك ادعو الله له قال اللهم أكثر ماله وولده وبارك له فيما أعطيته قال أنس رضي الله عنه والله إن مالي لكثير وإن ولدي وولد ولدي يتعادون على نحو المئة اليوم متفق عليه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن أم سليم نريد أثار أم سليم أن قالت يا رسول الله Anas خادمك. Anas, remember the famous story? As it, Anas is a young boy, just change the page. He was brought by his mother, and his mother told him, Ya Rasulullah, this young man, let him serve you, etc. Then he spent, and it's, it's famous hadith that Nabi la taqul li uffi etc. etc. Right? So Anna قالت يا رسول الله أنس خادمك أو رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, as Anas is your khadim, ud'u Allah lahu, make dua for him, special dua for him, he's going to serve you. Right? قال اللهم أكثر ماله وولده. Then Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم made dua for him, oh Allah, أكثر ماله وولده, give him barakah, give him blessing in his wealth, وولده, and give him blessing in his children, وبارك له فيما أعطيته, and bless for him in that which we have given him. قال أنس, Anas say, فوالله إن مالي لكثير. So Allah, as a result of the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mali lakathirun, my wealth is abundant. Wa inna waladi, and my children, wa waladi waladi, and the children of my children, which means what? Children of my children is what, Yusuf? My grandchildren. لا يتعادون على نحو المئة. لا يتعادون, they are in excess على نحو المئة, of over 100 اليوم. Subhanallah, muttafaqun alayh. لا يتعادون, I think it's more. You take out the تجاوز يتجاوز على نحو المئة اليوم, it is more than 100 today. So my progeny today, as a result of the dua of barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, it is more than 100. So it's mentioned here in the Shara that when Anas made the statement, then he had over 100 children. But later on, it was even more than that. It was even more than that. One narration, which as Anas himself narrates, he said that my direct progeny, not my grandchildren or great-grandchildren, etc., it was over 100. Some revised say 125. It is mentioned in one riwayat that as Anas said, remember Hajjaj bin Yusuf was a tyrant of Basra. Before the arrival of Hajjaj bin Yusuf in Basra, I buried with my own hands 120 of my progeny, my grandchildren, etc. And as a result of the dua of barakah of him by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, certain orchards of Anas used to bear fruit twice a year. So there are different riwayat. It speaks about different amount of children for Anas, but there's no problem because maybe at different times they spoke about different. You understand what I'm saying? Read the next riwayat. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن سعد بن أبي وقاص narrated سعد بن وقاص قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول I heard Nabi saying لأحد Mishkaat ما سمعت يا I did not hear Nabi saying for anyone لأحد يمشي على وجه الأرض works is walking on the surface of the earth إنه من أهل الجنة he is from the people of Jannah إلا لعبد الله بن السلام except Abdullah ibn Salam متفق عليه. In other words, is the only person I heard Rasulullah saying this. So we know that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave glad tidings to other people in one sitting. He gave glad tidings of Jannah to the whole Ashara Mubashara, and on other occasions he gave glad tidings to separate Sahaba Ikram, etc. So what does this hadith mean? Maybe it could mean two or three things. According to this Sahabi, what he heard, he maybe never hear about the other ones. Or it could also mean that after all of them passed away, and he was the last one left. So he's saying that from the last people that has got glad tidings of Jannat on this earth is this one here. Or it could be the other way around. At that point in time, the Nabi system didn't give glad tidings to the Ashara Mubashara as yet. And he got first. Okay, read one more riwayat. What's the time now? Right, one more riwayat, switch over.
كنت جالسا في مسجد المدينة فدخل رجل على وجهه وقالوا هذا رجل فصلي ركعتين جوز فيهما فخرج إنك حين دخلت المسجد هذا رجل من أهل الجنة.
كلمة ساسة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعن قيس بن عباد قال كنت جالسا في مسجد مدينتي أو ستين مسجد of مدينة فدخل رجل على وجهه أثر الخشوع. That a person entered على وجهه أثر الخشوع. On his face was the signs of khushu. You can say piety, serenity, etc. فقالوا هذا رجل من أهل الجنة. The people said this is a person from Jannah. فصلى ركعتين. He read 2 rak'ahs تجوز فيهما, and he done it like you can say تجوز فيهما, like quickly, briefly. ثم خرج. Then when he left, right, وتبعته, I followed him. Carry on. So this Sahabi and Qais ibn Ubad is saying, I said to this person, فقلت إنك حين دخلت المسجد قالوا هذا رجل من أهل الجنة. When you enter the masjid, the people said, this is a person from the people of Jannah, right? Right. So he says, so this Sahabi was so modest, he says, Wallahi, I take qasam by Allah, ما ينبغي لإحنا يقول ما لا يعلم. It's not appropriate for anybody to say that which you don't know, right? فسأحدثك لما ذاك. And I will explain to you why I'm saying this. It is not appropriate for you to say somebody Jannati, Jannami. فسأحدثكم. Right, carry on.
رأيت رؤيا على صلى الله عليه وسلم وخصصتها عليه ورأيت عني كرامة ذكر من سعتها وكبرتها.
So he said, look, so I'm going to explain to you maybe why the people, they say I'm a person from Jannah. He say, فسأحدثكم لما ذاك رأيت رؤيا على أحد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I saw a dream in the time of Rasul فقصصتها عليه. I narrated it to him. يعني عليت رسول ورأيت كأني في روضة. And I saw myself ورأيت كأني في روضة, as though I'm in a garden. ذكر من سعتها. He mentioned from its broadness, وخضرتها, its fastness and its greenness, right? وخضرتها, and what you right, وسطها عمود من حديد, and in the middle of this garden, وسطها عمود من حديد, were pillars of steel, أسفلها في الأرض وأعلى السماء, right? أسفلها, the bottom of it was on the earth, وأعلاها في السماء, on the ground, so to say, and the top was in the sky, في أعلاها, right? So في أعلاها أروت, was like a ladder or a thing to go up, right? Carry on. It was said to me, فقيل الإركه, go ascend up, right? فقلت لا أستطيع, I'm unable to go up, right? فأتاني منصف, then a minsaf was brought to me. Minsaf means like a young slave, right? Carry on. فرفع ثيابي من خلفي, he folded up my clothes from behind. فرقيت حتى كنت في أعلاها, so I then ascended. فرقيت حتى كنت في, until I was on top, right? Then فأخذت I took hold of this thing, the rung, right? She said hold firm, right? So when I woke up, I was still in my hand. I woke up with this in my hand, right? So فقصصتها, then I mentioned this dream to فقصص to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you should تلك الروضة الإسلام, that garden is Islam, right? And though that pillar there is the thing is keeping up Islam, right? وتلك الأروت أروت الوثقى. What you got there? أروت الوثقى. Yeah. You know in the Quran, al-urwatu al-wuthqa, firm thing, right? Carry on. So you will be on Islam, inshallah, hatta tamuta, until you pass away. And then that person was Alika Rajulu, was Abdullah ibn Salam. Okay, so this person here, he was also declared, like you can say, a Jannati. I saw what this is, Atharul Khushu'i. I saw the taqwa on his face, and I saw the signs of piety. Tajawaza means to do something quickly, to do something concisely, obviously without sacrificing the necessary tenets of it. Ma yanbaghi, it's not permissible to emphatically say this person is a Jannati or Jahannami. We discussed this masla also in Aqidatul Tahawiyah. You can't tell this person is going to Jahannam. If he's a Muslim, Allah Ta'ala can forgive him. If he's a non-Muslim, you don't know, maybe make tawbah. If he's a Muslim, you can also say, I guarantee that this person was such a good person. You say, yes, yeah, Allah, he was a good person, mashallah, inshallah, he's going to go to Jannah, inshallah, Allah is going to send him straight to Jannah, right? But to say conclusively, this is a Jannati, right? You can't do that because you don't know what happened, what that person does in the latter part of his life, whatever. Urwa is something you hold firm to. Irqi, it means to ascend something, right? Come from Sami'a yasma'u. Raqiha yarqahu. irqi. Sorry. So the ha is the zamir of the maf'ul, eh? So raqa, سمع اسمعوا رقي يرقى. What is it? راقي يرقى إركي. أي كسرة نميم منصف. So a young boy. Okay, we'll stop there inshallah and I will switch over to the tafsir inshallah.